Hi, before round two. Before I play the opening song, we're doing another show on Iran today. There will be a lot of challenging things talked about, and maybe some images that you might find distressing. But we're going to show them anyway. And what I think is, from what I gathered from last week's show, is that these people over there who are protesting now are freedom fighters like us. They're just in a much tougher battle, and but I and what is happening there, what has happened there over the last few decades, maybe could come here. We got inside of it in the last 5 years, so this is why we're going to have this conversation. This is the opening song. Next to it, it'll explain itself. But here we go.
Iran protests have an unofficial viral anthem, thanks to this artist who was arrested shortly after the song's debut. The lyrics to Shervin Hajipour's Baraye are composed of tweets from Iranians who have been protesting in the streets for weeks since the death of Mahsa Amini after she was arrested by the country's morality police. As the song's lyrics suggest, the primarily women-led protests have become about far more than just a single injustice. The movement is about azadi, which means freedom in Persian. Demonstrations have continued despite the government saying it's investigating Amini's death. Iranian state TV said last week 41 people have died in the protests. Human rights groups estimate it's far more. Shervin Hajipour was released on Tuesday according to Iranian state media. And while the emotional weight of his song's lyrics can get lost in translation, the haunting melody speaks for itself as the song continues to captivate the world.
برای توی کوچه رقصیدن، برای ترسیدن به وقت بوسیدن، برای خواهرم، خواهرت، خواهرامون، برای تغییر مغزها که پوسیدن، برای شرمندگی، برای بیپولی، برای حسرت یک زندگی معمولی، برای کودک زباله‌گرد و آرزوهاش، برای این اقتصاد دستوری، برای این هوای آلوده، برای ولیعصر و درختای فرسوده، برای پیروز و احتمال انقراضش، برای سگهای بیگناه ممنوعه، برای گریه های بیوقفه، برای تصویر تکرار این لحظه، برای چهره ای که میخنده، برای دانش آموزا، برای آینده، برای این بهشت اجباری، برای نخبه های زندانی، برای کودکان افغانی، برای این همه، برای غیر تکراری، برای این همه شعارهای تو خالی، برای آوار خونه های پوشالی، برای احساس آرامش، برای خورشید پس از شبای طولانی، برای قرصای اعصاب و بیخوابی، برای مرد میهن آبادی، برای دختری که آرزو داشت پسر بود، برای زن زندگی آزادی، برای آزادی، برای آزادی، برای آزادی.
Okay, let's begin. I'll just bring in our guests. So the first one is Malika again. And Malika,
Hi,
before we
Michael.
bring in our other guest, that young girl we played at the end, tell us what happened to her. You told us last week, but tell us
That's
again now
right.
people have seen her.
That's Nika Shakarmi, the same girl that was brutally murdered by the Islamic Republic in Iran, that's occupying Iran. She was thrown off a building and all her bones were basically broken. And during that state, she was raped and then murdered, and her body was dumped somewhere in the desert dead. Later on, her family was notified of where her body is. And as you said, they were only able to recognize her based on the birthmark that she had on her body.
And the reason to rape her?
Freedom, wanting to be a normal 16-year-old.
No, the reason the regime wanted to have her raped as well. You said
sorry, that reason. Because as a 16-year-old, obviously she'll be a virgin. So, and all virgin girls go to heaven. So she would have been definitely raped before doing so that she's guaranteed no heaven.
Okay, and the next one is Safer. Could you give an introduction to this young man?
So yes, Safer is a brilliant young man who has been very active, being the voice of Iranians here in the diaspora. So I'm very, very pleased to be doing this interview with him this time. I'm sure he has a lot of information to shed about Iran, and he's a very talented young man. So very looking forward to this.
Hello.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Melika.
Hey.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Safer, just before we start though, what age did you come to Australia?
I was 11 years old.
And you said before the show that you couldn't speak English. So before we get into some of the darker stories, what's it like turning up as an 11-year-old boy in Australia unable to speak English? The culture change and how you
well,
how
you
you
know,
dealt
it's a shock, but it's also a sense of relief, you know, coming from even as a child. You can tell that where you are living, when you are living in Iran, is not normal. People in Iran do not have a normal life, and even as a child I could feel that. And when we came here, yes, it was a shock. You know, I didn't know the language, I didn't know the culture, we didn't have any friends, but it was also a sense of relief that here we can have a normal life. So yeah.
Well, now you're here and your English is terrific.
Thank you.
There's so let's get started. While we're doing this, Malika, do you want to stream this to your audience as well? It only takes a few minutes to do, and we can talk to Safer as you're doing. What's that? Yeah, you have to do that thing. It's but Safer, when did you decide to get active with this in defending or basically bringing awareness to what was happening in Iran? When did you start to get active on that?
Well, it was after the murder of Mahsa Amini, the brutal murder of Mahsa Amini, and when the Woman Life Freedom movement started, I saw people who were my age in Iran, you know, going onto the streets without any form of, you know, covering to protect their privacy. They were out in the streets, they were yelling for freedom. And that just moved me, because there were people my age, you know, I could have been one of them if I had stayed in Iran.
Yeah.
And, you know, seeing all the images that came out of Iran, people who were my age, just like the Iranian people being brutally murdered only for saying that we do not want to live under an Islamic theocracy. That just moved me. And I was like, well, I am living in a country where I have the freedom to speak, and therefore I should speak up. So yeah, here I am, being a political activist, if you will.
Can we talk, Malika? Could you talk about the woman he just first mentioned, who started this revolution or the protests that are going on now?
Oh, Mahsa Amini.
Yeah.
Well, Mahsa Amini was the last protest that happened in Iran from 2022. So that was the Woman Life Freedom movement or revolution. And this revolution that Iran's going through is the Lion and the Sun revolution. So two different, still fighting for the same thing, but they're two different revolutions. So you want me to talk about Mahsa from the previous one?
Just so we have some context.
Sure.
Either you can do it, just some context.
I believe from the stories I've heard that Mahsa was visiting Tehran, I believe, or visiting, I think, from Kurdistan. She's Kurdish, so she was visiting Tehran with her brother. And as they were, visiting Tehran and walking through the streets, she gets picked on by the morality police, which I have videos to show you how they treat women in Iran, for not wearing the proper hijab, even though she had the scarf, even though she, was wearing the coverage, maybe a little bit of her hair was showing. And once I show you this video, you realize basically where all this trauma comes from. So when she was picked up by the morality police, she would have obviously tried to defend her honor and say, look, it's only a little bit of hair. Like, it's not like I'm walking naked in the streets or anything. And which then resulted in brutally being assaulted by the police, which resulted in her going into coma and then basically losing her life after a couple of strands of hair. So she was struck to the head a couple of times, and that resulted her basically going to a coma and then losing her life. And then that really just started everything. But this was way more than being just about one woman. It was more than just being about a couple of strands of hair. This was that last drop of water, like I said last week, in this, a huge ocean that just tipped everything over. And, people were like, enough is enough. And it led to the Mahsa Amini revolution.
So she was a catalyst, really. So would you have that video you want to show now?
Yes, actually, I can. I will show you the video if Sefer has anything to say.
I was just going to add this point that all of the protest movements in Iran, they all had some sort of a spark, if you will, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Something started them, whether it was the hijab, whether it was the economic situation, or whether it was the price of petrol in 2019. But the actual protest movement themselves weren't, those things were definitely a part of it. But it's not like the people were going onto the streets in Iran in 2022 just because they didn't want to wear a hijab. That was a reason, but it wasn't just that. It was for freedom. It was saying, well, the Islamic Republic is an illegitimate regime which is occupying my country, and I want my country back. Not only do I want my country back, I want my national identity back. I want to be Iranian again. I want to be a citizen. So I think it's very important to distinguish that, yes, the Women Life Freedom movement started because of the hijab, but it's not like if the Islamic Republic removed the hijab law completely, everyone would have gone home. It became something more than that. I just wanted to add that for the audience.
So there's a lot of ills, and this was just basically the catalyst that set it off.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just play this video now. Do you want to give us some context on this video?
This is basically sorry, I'm just trying to at the same time add this to my own platform as well. Sorry, I'm just looking a bit distracted. So basically, this is the classic, morality police and how they treat women. So they basically have these cars that they patrol around the major cities, and they basically pick up women that they don't think fit the right criteria in terms of their proper wear. And this is a woman that's basically refusing to get into the van because she knows what's awaiting her. She knows the stories you hear, or maybe she's even been picked up once or twice by these guys, and she knows that only brutality comes out of it, and she's basically refusing to get into the van. And just look at how they throw her into the van.
Okay.
So you can see she's wearing the scarf. The front of her hair is out, but she's still wearing the scarf. She's still wearing, the up to the wrist, whatever that she has to wear. But now look at, like, she was on her head when they were trying to push her leg in. You could see that her legs were up in the air. So that means her head's on the floor there. They're trying to force her into the van and then basically take her and God knows do whatever they want to her.
Sure. Well, if you want to keep setting up the other stream to your page, I'll just ask Sefer, what other main contributing things, because I read something that financially Iran's in trouble, there's also the lack of freedom, but there's like it's like a perfect storm that the regime's in, that people have had enough. Could you explain that a bit more?
Well, I think it's easier if I wanted to explain what's okay. I'll say this: everything about the Islamic Republic and everything that it has done to our country is wrong. Whatever parts of Iranian life you look at, the Islamic Republic has had a negative effect on it. Whether that's individual freedoms, women can't dress the way they like in the streets. Whether that's political freedom, you can get arrested and executed just for saying, I don't want Khamenei to be the leader of this country. Whether that is, economics, as you said, we have, I think after Russia, we have the second largest gas reserves in the world. We are part of the top 5 countries with oil reserves. A country like that should not be poor. And it is not poor, but it's because the regime is using that money and it is sending it, and it's not spending it on the Iranian people. It is sending it to Hamas, to Hezbollah, to the Houthis, to the terrorist groups in Iraq, and they supported the Syrian regime as well. So every part of Iranian life you look at, it's not normal. Even as a child, I could feel that growing up in that country, that the way we are living is not normal, and everything is getting bad every day. It's on a downward trajectory. So, it's everything, basically, if I want to answer your question.
Yeah. What's the goal behind, what's the regime do you think, trying to achieve with the plan, with the action they're taking?
Well, the Islamic Republic, in its very DNA, is an end of times regime, or what we call Akhir al-Zaman in Persian or Arabic. What it is trying to do is it's trying to establish a worldwide Islamic caliphate. It wants to wipe out Israel. They've said it very clearly. In fact, their parliament has enacted a law that it is the duty of the Islamic Republic to wipe out Israel. Okay, it's trying to destroy the Western world. It is trying to destroy America. It is the antithesis to everything that the Western world and normal human beings stand for. If you want a normal life, the regime is against that. It's the antithesis of you wanting a normal life. They want to establish an Islamic caliphate. That's the very end goal of this whole regime. And whatever they're doing, their whole foreign policy, if you can even call it foreign policy, is towards reaching that Islamic caliphate, worldwide Islamic caliphate.
Thanks. Where do you want to go from here, Malika? There's, I have.
I reckon before we start this, because I told you this before we started this week's interview as well. I said growing up in Iran, especially as a woman, you tend to grow a thick skin when it comes to critics. So it's not that it's affecting me at all that I want to mention this. It's just that I did hear, and I do hear constantly, that as soon as someone, not even have to be a woman, but specifically women as well, when you stand up and talk about Iran and what's really happening there, not the media propaganda, not what the regime wants to to show, but what's actually truly happening in Iran, you get labeled as Mossad, or you get labeled as an Israeli, or you get labeled working for the CIA and trying to be an American, trying to spread this. I think it's very important that we talk about this before we go any further, because we're going to see a lot of graphic images. We're going to see a lot of brutality done by the Islamic Republic, IRGC, Basij, Sepah, all these organizations that are basically within Iran. So I think it's important that we really get this out of the way to show that this is nothing to do with Mossad. This is nothing to do with the CIA or America. There is the only foreigner that is responsible in Iran is who's occupying it right now, and that's the Islamic Republic. So when people start, I know that some people are getting paid to be talking about, this and trying to really take the attention away from what's really going on. I'm not talking about those people, because their benefit is not in not understanding. Their benefit is to looking away and trying to spread this rumor that this is, Mossad and CIA. But my conversation is with those people that are not knowing what's going on, like yourself, maybe, that, you're standing outside of this and you don't know what to believe. There's someone coming up saying this and then someone's opposing it. So this directed to people that are not getting paid to say that, oh, maybe this is Mossad. So the first thing you have to think about is that the moment you say this is Mossad or CIA, that, you know, that's doing this to the Iranian, and I'm, you know, trying to be here, trying to glorify it. What they need to realize is that by saying that, what they're really trying to do is undermine the Iranian people and this revolution to begin with. So they're trying to basically say that people's sufferings and trauma, it's nothing. Like, what this is all propaganda. Like, there's no reason for it. When you say it like that, that's basically what it means. That's a slap in every person's face that has given up their life for this freedom. So when you say it's a propaganda by Mossad, that means you're saying Iranian people have no reason to be, you know, doing this revolution. It's someone trying to come into the country and cause trouble, you know. It's not that. So when you say something like that as someone who's not getting paid to say it, please don't say it, because you sound completely, you know, not bright. So please don't say that. And secondly, when you think about this, is it Mossad that's taking over the whole country then? Because you see people getting abused in the streets, you see people getting abused in prisons, you see people getting abused by Basij and IRGC members. So are these all Mossad? Then if it is Mossad, then why are people getting abducted from their home for showing these videos? For if someone posts about this brutality online on their social media, within hours, if not a day, they will be arrested by the government. Why? Are we trying to say that Mossad is taking over our country? Please help us. You know, why are you arresting people over this? Why is it that every time an Iranian or someone who's, you know, standing up for us in this fight talks about the numbers of people that have been killed, why is the regime so forceful in pretending that they're lower in numbers? Well, wouldn't you want to say that Mossad's killed a lot of people, that they're bad people? Then why are you trying to pretend that it's less numbers? If someone says 40,000, you go on national TV and say, no, it was only 40 people. Or no, it was only 100 people. Well, wouldn't you want to say that Mossad is a terrible person or like terrible organization and they're killing people? Why are you trying to fight us? Second or thirdly, why aren't you fighting Israel? If it's Mossad, then why are you not bombing Israel right now? You know, you're saying that a foreigner organization came into the country, raped our women, killed our people, killed your people from the regime. Then why are we not going into fight with Israel? Don't you want to wipe them out? We'll start a war. Go bomb Israel and see what happens. You know, you can't make this up. You can't just sit here and say that it's foreigners attacking the country. Then who is protecting the country? Then if the Ayatollah is sitting there and talking that no one is gonna make, you know, no one's allowed to make war with us, no one can even make war with us, we are not even going to sit down with America and talk to them, we are not even gonna go through so that means you're seeing yourself at a power that, you know, no one is daring to touch Iran. Well, then how is Mossad in your streets killing people? I will upload a couple of graphic.
You've got that video. Can you show that video of that went on live stream TV? That went on TV with the leader.
Sure.
Before you do that, I have to say, and I told Sefa that ever since the interview, that's all I've had is people contacting me going, these are Israeli agents and stuff like this. And I'm just to all of those who are saying that Malika didn't reach out to me. I'd been searching for weeks, trying to find an Iranian, an Australian who would talk to us. I had to go through some Iraqi friends and then it was a series of about 3 or 4 people before someone finally said, "Why don't you speak to Malika?" So it was me that sorry, I'm a bit sick. Invited her onto the platform to speak, not the other way around. And we just wanted to hear from an Iranian what they thought was happening, because the world at the moment is so crazy, and with AI and everything, so hard to know what's real or not. And that's why we thought we'd bring people on to talk.
Can I just say a few things on Malika? Did you want to show the videos first and then I can...
Sure. I just wanted to give a bit of a background about this video because he's talking in Farsi. So this is basically a mullah basically getting invited to a live TV, and the presenters asking him that by now 42,000 people have been killed. And his response basically says that, so what? Even if it's more than that, so what? So be it. And that Ayatollah Khamenei has said that even if the lead political leaders of the political leaders, even if they wipe us all out, and even if they take all of our women as gifts of war, it doesn't matter, because our purpose is to spread this radicalism, and for this purpose it doesn't matter. So please watch.
2000 نفر کشته شدن.
بیشتر از اینا هم بشه. نصف عالم کشته بشن. امام یه موقعی میفهمودن گیرم که ابرقدرت‌ها همه ما بسیجای دنیا اسلامو به دار بکشن و همه زنان ما هم به اسارت بیارن. برای رسیدن به مقصد میارزه.
Basically, yeah. So he just said to reach that destination, it's worth it. Doesn't matter. And I've also uploaded a couple of other things. It's graphic. It's basically one of the IRGC cars running people over into in the streets. So if you can't look, then
I think this is this one.
we also have two photos that shows the police cars, the Iranian police cars, and you can see the type of gun they have at the back of that police car. So you're trying to tell me that's Mossad. So Mossad has infiltrated your regime so much that they're now getting your cars, the police cars, and putting a automatic rifle behind that car and killing Iranians. Is that what you want me to believe? So
yeah, I have another one here too. Maybe you could. This is supposed to be. Where was it? This is the groups or the parts of the government driving around to abduct people from their houses. This is what it says. I don't know. Is that correct though? Is that what it's saying? Because it's saying this is.
Well, they say that that this is forces, and they're trying to find whoever was abduct them, basically.
So these are the groups going around to find out the young people who are at the protests and arrest them and take them off to prison.
Yeah, and they're also trying to stop people from coming out of their houses by intimidating them with their guns and basically their volume being out. I'm trying to see if I can upload
and it's also because the Crown Prince of Iran, the leader of the Iranian opposition, put out a call saying, asking people that if it is safe for them to do so, to chant from their houses, open the window and chant. And we saw regime forces just like that going into streets with these kind of cars and with these kind of heavy weapons, shooting into people's houses. These are a lot of the other videos you can see IRGC uniform. So are we saying the Mossad is so strong that they've been able to infiltrate the IRGC and go and kill people in the name of the IRGC? That basically means Iran has been taken over by Israel. If this is really their claim, that means the Mossad has taken over, because if they can infiltrate your most secure and your most elite paramilitary forces and go and kill people, and you can't do anything about it, okay, what border did they even come through? You're saying thousands of Mossad agents, CIA, MI6, that were in the streets, that were killing the people. How did they enter the country? From which border? Why is there no investigation? Why is there no arrests being made? And I just wanted to add this point. Whenever leftists and Islamists don't like something, they call it Mossad. That's just the automatic reaction. Whenever something happens, they don't like it, that's Mossad. That's a false flag. That's a false flag operation. It's, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. There is absolutely zero evidence to suggest that there are Mossad agents coming into Iran and killing protesters. It's even ridiculous to think about. There has been protests in over 200 towns in Iran. Okay? People have been killed in over 200 towns. Are we really trying to make people believe that the Mossad and CIA have brought in agents to over 200 towns and they've started killing people? And also, my question to these people is, why don't these so-called terrorists come out when pro-regime people are protesting? On the 22nd of Bahman, when they were celebrating the 1979 insurrection, where were the terrorists? Because if there are, the regime itself has claimed that 3,000 people have been killed. They've been killed by the terrorists. Okay, it's obviously false. Okay, the numbers are upwards of 40, 50,000. And they were killed by IRGC. But let's just run with this claim. Okay, terrorists have come into your country and they've killed 3,000 people in 2 nights. Okay, and then you hold a pro-government rally without any form of security. That just doesn't make sense for me. Where were the snipers on the rooftop to protect the protesters? And also, if you look at a lot of the videos that comes out, you see Basij forces with a shotgun and just the normal, short sleeve shirt. If there are armed terrorists at that level in your country, why aren't you wearing a bulletproof vest? Where are your tactical vehicles? Why is someone untrained, a paramilitary force, the Basij is a voluntary force, untrained, going with a shotgun without any protective gear and killing protesters? Aren't there terrorists, inside these protesters? These claims, they are straight out of the IRGC playbook. They kill people and then they get their contractors and they get their apologists to whitewash their crimes, to legitimize it, say they were terrorists, that's why we killed them, so it's okay. All right, it's okay if we killed 40,000 people because they were all Mossad. Everything is okay, everything is fine, we're under control, everything is under control now. It's if you are believing this, you are a useful idiot. I'm sorry to say that. If you are really believing this narrative, you are a useful idiot that the Islamic Republic is using you to whitewash its crime. And if you are being paid to say these things, well, I have nothing to say to you. You are purposely and intentionally whitewashing a genocide that is happening in Iran. And I want you to take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Whenever you wake up, take a good look at yourself, because 40,000 people were killed and you have taken money from a terrorist organization to say that, oh, there weren't normal people, they were terrorists.
And, another thing that I need to add is that within our culture, within our Iranian culture, it is normal to hold like memorials for the loved ones that we've lost. Yeah. And, we hold something called the 40th day memorial, which means that it's 40 days since you've lost a loved one. And isn't it interesting that on the 40th day, Mossad attacked the families of these people trying to mourn on their graves. So Mossad came back after 40 days and then went back to the same memorials that these people were holding, trying to kill them again. So as Seper said, when you think about these things, at first, as someone looking from the outside, you might be like, oh, it might be. But then when you really dig deeper and realize what they're doing, when you put 2 and 2 together, then you realize this can't be. Like there is, as Seper said, there is no solid evidence proving that any other foreign, country or any other foreign arms of any country was involved in this besides the one that's occupying Iran, which is the Islamic Republic. So you see millions of pictures coming out with, as Seper said, with the IRGC uniform. You see people using the Iranian police cars. So unless they've been brought in by the Islamic Republic, like Hezbollah or any members of the Hamas or anyone from Iraq, there is no other country, as they're claiming, like Mossad or CIA. There is no involvement whatsoever. This is the Islamic Republic of Iran. And what Christiana Amanpour said in their interview, once Iranians stop killing Iranians, woman, get a life. It's the Islamic Republic of Iran killing Iranians. It's not Iranians killing Iranians. An Iranian person would never, ever open fire on another Iranian. And that is why they had to bring in 4,000 Iraqis from the external trying to kill Iranians, because they knew that no true Iranian would ever be able to open fire on another Iranian. So don't go spreading your BS on CNN or wherever she was talking, saying once Iranians stop killing Iranians. We don't see the Islamic Republic as an Iranian. They're a terrorist organization. They're an extremist trying to run our country. They're occupied our country. So they're not Iranians. Sorry, I get a bit,
I understand.
fiery when it comes to this. because she
I have
has
a
a
question for both of you. And I'll start
Can
with
I
Sepe
can I just
and come
say
back.
something, Michael? Sorry, before
Yeah,
the
sure,
only
go ahead.
foreign agents that were imported were, as Melika said, by the Islamic Republic to kill the Iranian people. Around
Yeah.
5,000 people entered through the Iraq border, and they came onto the streets and they killed the Iranian people. There are reports from the bazaar in, I think it was Tehran, that the people wearing police uniform were speaking Arabic. They couldn't even speak Persian because they were imported. So it's the Islamic Republic that is importing foreign terrorists into our country and killing our people, not the other way around. I just wanted to say that as well.
Sorry, can I ask, do you guys suffer from survivor's guilt? Like you're here and safe, but it must be very
Absolutely.
hard to watch your country and feeling that I should be there and do it, do you suffer from that?
Absolutely. As Iranians living abroad, as Iranians, living outside of Iran, wherever you may be, we are living two separate lives. In Iran, when people are going through these things, that's their life. That's what they're going through. But then my life here is completely different. I still have to get up in the morning and go to work. I still have to say good morning to my colleagues like nothing's happened. I still have to make a living like as if my people are not suffering. So it's very hard for us living abroad because it's trying to make someone understand your pain where they don't even know the history. And you have to, like, I go to work every day and someone goes, "Hey Mel, how you going?" I'm like, "I'm good, thank you." What can I say? My mind is with my people, my heart's with my people. So it's devastating for us Iranians. And it's the difference in time as well. So when we go to sleep, Iran's awake, and when they sleep, we wake up. So basically, and most of the process go throughout the night. So when basically, especially in Australia, when we open our eyes, we are opening our eyes to a fresh set of news. How many thousand more people have been killed. So you wake up with bad news every single day for the past 40 or so days. So Saber, if you feel like to add something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we've all been forced to leave our homeland. I don't think if there's 8 million Iranians living abroad, I can assure you 7 point something million of them would have never left their country. That they were forced to leave. We were forced to leave our country. We are technically living in exile, if you will. And being here, as Melika said, waking up, looking at all those images, looking at the pictures of people who were killed, some of them as young as 2. Their parents were walking and the IRGC just drove past and just shot them because they were walking in the streets. It's really hard to explain to an Aussie, to our Aussie friends here, what that feels like. It's guilt. It's a mixture of guilt, hopelessness, you asking yourself, what can I do? I wish I was there with them, so I can stand next to them and fight this regime together. So yeah, it's definitely, yes, we do, to answer your question.
Michael, I've just uploaded a video of what Sepe was talking about.
So this is a young man here. He was killed in front of his home by the Islamic regime. So that's the 13-year-old killed. I think his father was shot earlier. So that's both of them shot. Look
at the video I've just uploaded. It basically talks about what Sepe was talking about. It's basically people walking by and they're getting shot by the police.
Okay, I'm just trying to find it. There's so many videos here. I think, is it this one?
Yep. Look at him. People are just walking by, and look at the guy just stopped and shot at them.
Wow.
They're just walking by. There is no protest. You can't see anyone. They're literally just walking by, and look at how many times he was shot.
Because their whole strategy is, if we kill enough people, they won't come out next time. Or they thought, because the Iranian people did come out. Just a couple of hours ago in the universities of Iran, where some of the top universities, which were Basij powerhouses until, like, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, people were chanting, "Down with dictator and Javid Shah, long live the king." So they were like, all right, let's kill so many people that they never come out again. But obviously the Iranian people, we will fight until we win. And we came out.
It's just fear. They're using fear, but fear has a use-by date, because at some point, I've talked to, I think I told Malika last time, I've talked to Romanians about when the Romanian revolution happened with Ceausescu, and when they left, this woman's 17-year-old brother left, and she said his mother didn't want him to go because people were getting shot, and he said, "I'm either going to come back as a free man, or I'm going to die. They're my only options." And so once they'd reached a point like this, there's the fear loses its grip because the people
Exactly.
want freedom so much. Do you think your country's reaching that point now where they can try to keep killing, but at some point the people are going to say, well, you can't kill all of us?
I
You
think
know,
we're already there, Michael. I think
yeah,
we're already
that's
there
what's
because
happening right now then.
exactly. If you look at a lot of the people who were 17, 18, before they went onto the streets, they recorded themselves saying, I'm either going to, as you said, I'm either going to go and take back my country from its occupiers, or I'm going to
Yeah.
get killed. Because what we have to understand is that Iran is occupied right now. The Islamic Republic is not the government of Iran. It is an illegitimate terrorist regime which is occupying their country, and the only thing keeping it in power is the guns that it has. If the machinery of repression disappeared, that regime will fall within hours. When we get to that point, there is, of course, fear doesn't work because it's like, well, my country is occupied. I have no future to look forward to. Whatever I do, I'm either going to get arrested or killed or called the Mossad agents by certain people living in the West. So it's like, well, I'm either going to go and take back my country and fight with everything that I have, or I'm going to die. So I think we're already there. And that should scare Khamenei and its regime very much, because they picked the wrong nation to mess with.
Well, they've already killed 40,000, and the people are still protesting now. I've seen the protests.
Absolutely. And what they say is that, more than the bombings that, the USA is now threatening Iran with, Khamenei should be more afraid of the mothers dancing on their sons and daughters' graves. A mother that powerful, that refuses to grieve in the same way that the regime wants them to grieve, because they do dictate how you should grieve for your loved ones as well. And the reason why they come and disturb these mornings is that people choose to dance. Like, we had a protest here in Brisbane yesterday evening, and we honored the ones that lost their lives with the famous song that they play at their graves, and everyone dances because they celebrate the victory that these people have tried to achieve. And they see them as superheroes. They're not someone that you sit down and
Can I play a video that I think started that thing of people dancing? This is a young man doing a forced confession.
That's right.
I think it's in Arabic, but I'll play it. But maybe we can stop it, and you can one of you can translate what he's actually saying.
I think I know which video you're talking about.
کجا خاکم کنن دوست ندارم گریه کنن سر مزار از نداری قرآن.
So what's he actually saying?
So this is a confession that they're trying to get from him before they publicly execute him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is Majid Reza Rahnavard. Is that right, Safar?
Yeah. So in Mashhad. He was executed in Mashhad.
So this is right before his execution. So they say, what are your last words? He said, I don't want them to sing the Quran, the holy book, at my grave. I want them to play a song, and I want them to dance on my grave. And this is
دوست نداری برات نماز بخونن دیگه نماز نخونن شادی کنن.
I don't want them to pray for me.
So this is the public dancing because that's what he asked.
Yeah, he started
that's
this.
That's a bravery. That's a bravery that fear will flounder before. Because
absolutely, And he started it. He said, I don't want them, because that's what he died for. What's the point of him going out to fight for this, extremist people that are taking over the country, and then for their families to come back and do how the government wants them to behave. So he said, if I'm going to die, at least make it worth something, make it be something, and don't, and same as, some families refusing to pay these bullet monies to receive their, loved ones, or getting forced confessions out of them to receive the bodies. Some of them are willing to give up the body of their loved ones because they don't want to fall into this, play of the regime, where they have to then come and say, oh, my son was part of the Basij group and all these terrorists and Mossad killed him. Because how's that honoring the person that just lost their life? So they say, you know what?
No.
Keep the body. I want to keep the honor of my child, my father, or whoever went out there, or my mother that, went out there and lost their lives. And now you want to make it look like something else. So I don't want the body. Keep the body. And I'm not going to do a forced confession. So this is the power of people that are coming out of Iran, that are willing to give up the bodies, that whatever is left of them, to not want to play along with this regime anymore.
Would you like to add to that, Sefer?
No, I was just gonna say that, this revolution, the Lion and Sun revolution, what it has turned into right now is beyond a political movement for regime change. It has really turned into a renaissance of the Iranian people. The Iranian people have showed that they have moved away from the traditional Shia traditions that they have, where they read Quran and they what they call a Fatiha, which I don't know how to translate it to English, but it's just a verse that they read for the dead. It just shows that we have moved past all of the ideological tenets of this regime. We want to be Iranian again. We do not want to be an ummat. We do not want to be an ummat. We want to be the Iranian people again. We want to be citizens of the nation state of Iran. So it's really more than just a political movement, or a movement because the economy is bad. It's a movement to take back Iran and take back the Iranian identity as well. It's a movement that's saying we want to be Iranian again. So and I think that's very powerful. And Khamenei should be more scared of the mothers that are dancing at the graves of their sons and daughters than the USS Abraham Lincoln, because it's more scary.
I want to just put a few things, because I'm a Westerner and I'm just learning this, and because we decided to do a second interview, based on everyone telling me I've got Israeli spies on here, I wanted to clarify that, and I was so glad that we had a second person come on. So I really thank you for coming on, Sefer.
Thank you for having me.
I want to show you things that really, really moved me. So this is a young woman who took her clothes off, got down to her underwear. That's her there. And they're relating her to Rosa Parks. I'm not sure who this other image here is about, but they're saying like she's Rosa Parks. Knowing how violent they could treat her, she still walked around like this. Now, to me, that's the courage that makes you want to cry, because it's so brave. And you're looking at someone who she doesn't care. You can't kill me. You can't, so she's making a statement with her life. So I thought that was images. These ones, of course.
Add one more thing, sorry, about this girl that you just show. Yes, it's about the courage, but you know what it's also about? It's about showing people that all these ideologies that you have in your head are just ideologies. Like when you look at this woman, what happened? What really happened? Did the heaven and the earth turn around that she walked like that? What really happened? Or if that Rosa Parks lady that during segregation, during the worst times, that she sat at the front seat, or she was mixed with the whites. What happened? Did we all die? What happened? I think it's that statement that even if I dress like this, what's it gonna change? This is all about that ideology that you're trying to force into people's head to say you have to cover yourself because of this. You have to. What happens if I don't? And that's just. Yes, obviously the regime will, then arrest her and, basically brutally murder her. But if the regime is not there, what are the other people going to do? Because that's what the regime is trying to protect, that, we have to protect the society from these kind of people. But what did the society do? What really happened? Like, that's actually a video. It's not just a photo. And I've seen the video. People come and go without even looking at her. So what?
Wow,
Like, it's actually a video. Like, you can see men walking by her. They don't even acknowledge that she's there. Not in like a form of protest, not acknowledging her. It's just they're like, so what? You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's all about that ideology that she's just trying to prove that nothing happens. You know, it's like wearing a red shirt and walking outside.
Do you know what happened to her?
Honestly, this is from like a couple of years ago, but I'm pretty sure that she was.
Okay, so that was in the other pre-movement thing.
The Mahsa Amini, yes.
Okay, the other thing, they seem to have similar themes. So this image, of course, has been made into like propaganda image. It's quite like propaganda art, really. But this inspired this, and I'm seeing lots of this coming in. And this is, I just love the beauty of them fighting back. They're not actually taking to arms and killing. They're just being defiant. You know, maybe that's because they don't have the arms.
The last photo you showed, Michael, that was actually Brisbane. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah,
but even that, it's still, you know, this symbols are so important, you know, and this is a symbol of defiance, and they spread. So here's in Brisbane, it's spreading, you know, just the action of one person. It really shows you might feel powerless in a totalitarian system, but actual fact, you still do have power. In fact, someone, I was speaking to someone the other day, and they were saying it's not that you have the power, you are the power. And that's what's been sort of educated out of you, but you are the power with what you do with your existence on the planet.
Something that I also wanted to talk about to really put it into perspective is that for people that don't live in Iran and they're listening to the stories that we talk about, you know, people, the economy is terrible. Like one of the examples that people are raging, you know, within Iran, and they really want this regime to change, is the concept of economy and, you know, how terrible the economy is. So to really put that into perspective, I guess we need to first look at that. We all know that the Islamic Republic of Iran funds, you know, all the proxies and all these terrorist organizations around the world, right? And there has been news that basically Hezbollah's members' agent, or like the wages of these members are all getting funded by the IRGC and the Islamic Republic. So we're basically paying these terrorists in dollars, you know, in thousands of dollars in wages, so that they can go and commit war against, you know, the West and basically spread their extremism. But it's interesting that during COVID in Iran, they were not able to afford vaccines for people. So
yeah, I heard that.
No Iranian was able to get proper vaccination in Iran, and that's 90 million people. They didn't have access to vaccines. So something that, you know, potentially could have saved millions of people from dying, they didn't have money for that. But all of a sudden they have money to be paying thousands of Iraqis and thousands of these foreigners to come into the country and, you know, basically kill people. So a living crisis, when we talk about it, is that when you estimate, you know, on average, we're just going to base it in Australia for the Australian viewers, just so that they kind of get an understanding of what's going on. Let's say on average, your income is about $3,000 a month, right? Some earn more, some earn less, but on average, we earn about $3,000. And when you think about what right now in Australia, take that $3,000 and divide it by 15. That will be your income for the month. So I think it's about $200 roughly. So $200 a month. Can you live in Australia on that? Paying your rent, supporting your family, buying groceries, buying your clothing. That's not even entertainment. That's not even, you know, going on holidays. This is basic human needs. So this is the wages that people are living in Iran by now. So now if you want to compare it to what the prices are like in Iran, someone earning $200 a month is actually way above the average in Iran. It's about maybe $100 a month in Iran right now. And 1 kilo of meat is about $10.
Wow.
So you get 200, let's say on a good day, you get $200 a month, and a kilo of meat costs about $10. 12 eggs will cost you about $5-6. So when you put that into comparison, how are people living in Iran? How are they able to afford rent?
Hungry.
A lot of people are sleeping. There are news coming out of Iran that people will go to the butcher shop and buy bones of chicken because they can't afford chicken. They'll buy the skin of the chicken because they can't afford chicken. They buy the meat scraps to make food from because they can't afford the meat. So this is way more than just the hijab. This is way more than just the head cover.
Oh yeah, I realize that. I realize that the hijab. I mean, basically, it seems from what I'm reading, the Iranian women just want the hijab to be optional. If they want to wear it, they can wear it. If they don't want to wear it, they don't wear it. That's a simple request, which seems fair enough. But it's very clear the economy is collapsing, and the whole thing's collapsing. I mean, if people's children go hungry, they've got nothing else to live for. No. What's the use of going to work and doing a job if your child's starving to death, you know?
Yep.
So it's clear that this really could be the final straw for the regime, which is probably why they're so brutal. But
yeah, absolutely.
I just have some other questions.
Michael, add that to the fact that there's barely any electricity. Tehran is running out of water. People don't have water in Tehran. You know, just everything is in free fall about the conditions of Iran.
So it's a perfect storm against the regime.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a perfect storm. It's not something that's been engineered by the West, or, you know, how these people in here like to frame it. It's because of the policy. It's because of the warmongering of the regime itself.
Yeah.
That has gotten the economy into this situation. The regime has no one else but itself to blame. This isn't something that's been manufactured to try and bring down the regime. No, this is the regime's policies that have led to what Melika says, the cost of living crisis that we have in Iran. You know, the fact that we don't have any water, the fact that, you know, just everything, you know, just going back to the point of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, the terrorist leader of Hezbollah, who was killed by the Israelis, he very clearly said that the Islamic Republic funds Hezbollah completely. All of our wages, all of our, you know, everything that we have, all of our rockets, our whole existence is funded by the Islamic Republic. So the Islamic Republic is stealing money from the Iranian people and it's sending it over to Hezbollah. It's sending it over to Hamas, you know, to the Houthis, to all of these terrorists across our region who have nothing to do with us nothing to do with the Iranians, nothing to do with our national interests. They are funding them because in Khamenei's mind, he wants to establish a global Islamic caliphate, and he thinks this is the right direction to go. So I just wanted to add that it's not something that's been manufactured. It's something that the regime has brought upon itself.
Yeah. Can I ask, why do you think, I asked Safer this first, why do you think there's so little coverage on it? I mean, when I'm just an independent reporter living in a bus traveling the country, and you go looking for information, and it's sporadic and hidden and on Twitter mainly. Why do you think that there's so much silence about it? Is it because the world wants Iran or Iranians to be the enemy of the world, or what is it it's so silent?
Well, I think it's different reasons, but one of the main ones is that our fight isn't trendy enough for them. You know, it doesn't fit their agenda. We are not a nation that's anti-Israel. In fact, we want good relationships and a strategic relationship with Israel. We are not anti-American. We do not want to destroy the West. We are not anti-capitalists. You know, we want a liberal democratic system inside Iran. We do not fit within the agenda of the leftist media, you know, because we don't hate Jews. All right. When there's no Jews, there's no news. It's true, because, you know, the fight that we have, it's actually the antithesis of what the you know, the leftist media is trying to promote. So that's why they don't cover us. And another reason, I think, is just because some of them are naive. They think they know Islam and they know the Middle East better than we know it. You know, they're scared it's going to be Islamophobic if we say the Islamic Republic is a terrorist regime. Like, they think they know more about the IRGC and what's happening in Iran than the people who are actually living in Iran, which is just very funny and sad at the same time. But I think the big reason is that we just simply do not fit within their agenda.
You want to add to that, Melika?
No, he said it perfectly. I think it's one thing actually I will add is that I believe that when you look at what Iran used to be like, which I covered a little bit last week about it, is that maybe some of the countries in power, some of the Western countries, they may even be terrified of what Iran could be like again if given power. So I think it will be almost in their benefit as well that Iran doesn't, reach that democracy and doesn't reach that power that is able to stand on its own and is no longer, the enemy of the West, because then they can, control it a bit better. But yeah, Sepper said it perfectly.
Can I ask also about the United Nations? Because you brought this woman up last week, and she has been put onto the Human Rights Council to monitor women's rights worldwide. Now, that's just complete, with what's going on, that's just a complete insult to the Iranian people. It's a complete insult to women everywhere. So why is the United Nations doing that, do you think?
Saber, do you want to start?
I think it's again the same. It doesn't fit within the agenda of the globalist left, Yeah. They are more than happy to 24/7 air a lot of AI images of children in Gaza. They are very happy to do that. But when it comes to actual war crimes, not the fake war crimes which the left and the pro-Palestine mob has generated, when it's actual war crimes, that they're completely blind. They're like, well, there's nothing here. There's nothing wrong. Because again, it doesn't fit into their anti-Israel, anti-American agenda, I guess.
So do the Iranian people, the Iranian protesters, do they feel alone? Like basically it's them against the regime and the world is not backing them? Or are there countries that they have back who are behind them?
Well,
whichever one has.
Yeah, I think Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi put this the best. The leader of this revolution, Prince Reza Pahlavi, is who the people of Iran called for inside Iran. He put it perfectly. He said that the Iranian people will not rely on anyone. We will finish the job no matter if the West helps us or not. But we also do look for partners because it will speed up the process. Israel is a strategic partner of the Iranian people right now, and it will be in the future as well. Yes, that's the Crown Prince, the leader of the Iranian opposition. So he said that we do not rely on anyone, but we also wouldn't say no to outside help. And I think the Iranian people right now are hopeful that President Trump is going to, stick to his word. He said help is on the way. They are hopeful that help will be on the way. But again, they're not relying on it. If for some reason the help doesn't arrive, it's not that this revolution has stopped. We will continue fighting, and we will finish the job no matter what. But we would like to see outside help because it will speed up the process.
Yeah. Less deaths. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Anything else you'd like to cover while we're still going?
I don't know whether this is the right time to be talking about actually, before I talk about the way that women are oppressed in Iran and to touch a little bit on the feminism side of it. I actually did, because last week, I think, if you remember, we talked about these bullet monies that are getting charged from people. So what happens is that, the information that's come out is that the reason why this time, because they've been killing people since 1979, basically. There's, no denying in that. They've always been killing people, executing people. But this time, because they had to employ so many forces from, external sources to fight this fight for them, and the fact that they had to bring out so many resources to fight people, killing 40,000 people in 2 days is no joke. The amount of bullets that you have to go through, the amount of, forces that you have to put on the street. What happens is we are looking at a 21st century of black marketing, mass killing, and labeling it as something else. So when they brought out this bullet fee, is because they had to pay all these Hezbollah and Hamas somehow. They all these money that they were paying them in wages to be killing people, they had to make this money somehow. So when you think about the darkness of it, is that basically, because we work on a different currency, so like 10 million toman is, it's different. So maybe like a income for a normal, household person would be 2 or 3 million a month or something, maybe 5 million a month if they're very lucky. So they were paying $10 million per I believe I have the number. Oh, sorry. $10 million for each injured. So if you injured someone in the protest, they'll pay you $10 million. And if you killed one person in this protest, they'll pay you 30 million toman. Sorry. So what happens is that's why they started raiding hospitals. That's why they were killing people that were injured in hospitals, because they wanted more money from the government.
Yeah.
So they would know that they could triple their money if they went in the hospital and raided a hospital and killed the injured. Because if you're getting paid 30 million toman versus 10 million, you would want to go and do that. So that's another reason why I just want to touch base on it quickly. That's why they charge money, because they had to make this money somehow back to the government. And secondly is that they were encouraging people by putting a higher price for the killing than injuring, to encourage people to kill more people other than just injuring them. So basically, all those people that were forced to pay the money to receive the bodies of their loved ones, when you think about it, they basically paid their child to be dead. So they paid the terrorists to kill their child so that they can receive it. So it's incredibly disgusting to see that's going on. But yes, so that we don't, and with the way that they calculated, by only giving back, they killed about 50,000 people. By giving back only 2,500 bodies, they were able to make back the money that they gave to the foreigners to come back and, to come inside Iran and kill people. And with the remaining money, it was profit on the bodies of our loved ones. They made profit on the bodies of our loved ones. So this is just
whichever way you turn it, it's crap. Can I ask to both of you? I just wanted to reach out because I was just hearing various things where I was seeing people dying, wanting freedom. And then, of course, I was seeing this woman's, someone made her into an art piece, which went everywhere. I think I actually have some of it here. And I think she might be in this one. This is the art coming out. And so I don't know, but anyway, this is the art piece coming out. It's been taken down. It actually was a quite profound piece of art when it came out, propaganda art, and I couldn't find it anywhere now. What do you think Australians can do to help? Because we're in a situation now where economically struggling. There's not similarities with the violence you're having over there, but people do talk about our government sort of, they've come after free speech. We seem to have stopped that. And so what do you think as to how can Australians help? Do you just want us to spread the stories? Do you just want us to talk? Because basically we're all human beings and we all have a right to be free. So what would you like as a help from Australians?
The help from Australia for the Iranian Revolution, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. How could we help in this struggle that you have now?
So, like how I talked about before, the Prince Reza Pahlavi has set out 6 demands that the Iranian people have from the free world, and depending on which country you are, you might be able to fulfill all of those 6 asks, or you might be able to fulfill only one. And the 6 are to target the regime's machinery of repression, target IRGC, and I'm talking about military action, because to be able to you need to be able to level the playing field so the Iranian people can go and finish the job. And part of that is doing precision strikes against regime leaders, IRGC commanders, IRGC bases, and so on and so forth.
Extraordinary. So you're asking countries to attack your country. It's an extraordinary request.
Well, it's not really attacking our country, because
I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
No, because we are at war with this regime. People have to realize it's not like the Islamic Republic is the government of Iran, and we just have a few disagreements here and then. They are a terrorist entity who have been squandering the wealth of our people and killing our people for 47 years. So it's America, it's the Western world coming to the aid of the Iranian people in order to take down the Islamic Republic. It's not like we're asking them to attack our country because we hate being Iranian. It's actually the opposite. We want to take back our country. Therefore, we need outside military assistance, because this regime will just kill. As long as the regime's machinery of repression is there, it will kill. So one part is targeting that. Another part is, sanctions. You have to cut off the regime's financial lifeline, whether that's like the ghost fleets that they sell oil to China, whether that's anything else, any form of business that they do that can give them money to be able to kill their people. You need to be able to shut that off.
Don't they have a train line now going from Iran to China so they can deliver the oil through a train line? Isn't that?
I'm not sure about the train, but I do know the Islamic Republic does sell oil at a massively discounted price to China. That's what I've heard, but I'm not sure about the train in particular. I'm happy to look it up after. But another big part is internet, because the regime cuts the internet and kills people in silence. Absolute digital blackout. Even their internal servers do not work. There was reports coming out of Iran that even FPOS machines were not working. They were so afraid, they were so terrified that they cut out digital life altogether. We went back to an era that we didn't have internet. It's like we went back 300, 400 years. So that's very important. Western worlds, whether that's Starlink, for example, or there's a French company that also does satellite internet. Whether that's that, and another important thing is we are asking the Western world to stop giving this regime legitimacy. When you negotiate with this regime, when they have embassies in your country, Australia kicked out the ambassador, but the embassy is still there. There's still staff at the Islamic Republic embassy in Canberra. We are asking governments, including the Australian government, shut down the embassy. There is no reason for a terrorist regime that has massacred 43,000 people in 2 nights to have an embassy in Canberra. There is absolutely no reason, no excuse. It gives them legitimacy when they don't deserve it and they don't have it. And a big part is being prepared to recognize a transitional government, because whether the Western world likes it or not, they're going to have to do that eventually down the line. So why not do it now? To save more lives, to save more Iranian lives, and to make the transition period easier for us. So the Western world needs to start to recognize Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi as the legitimate transitional leader that will lead the country through the transitional period to a point where we can all, as Iranians, go to the ballot box and choose what form of government we want, whether that's monarchy or Republican, and also to be able to pick our government, to be able to elect MPs, and form so that those MPs can form government, whether that's a parliamentary system or presidential system. That's all up to the Iranian people. But we need a mechanism to get to that point. Yes. And that mechanism is Prince Reza Pahlavi. He's a bridge, exactly as he said. He's a bridge to a destination. Yeah. And the Western world needs to start recognizing that process. And until they do these things, they are only supporting us in empty words, and that's not what we need right now. We've moved past the point of empty condemnations. We need practical action, and those were the 6 or so that I listed.
So,
and of course, I'll just add, Australia, of course, can't go and target IRGC bases in Iran. Yeah, we're not asking them to do that. We are saying these are our demands from the Western world. Whatever part you can, help the Iranian people. Canberra can shut down the embassy. They can recognize a legitimate government.
Can I ask, where do you guys protest? You protest on Saturday. Where do you do it? Do you do it at the same spot in Brisbane?
There's in different cities, but in Brisbane, it's Radcliffe Place in front of the casino.
Okay. Because there's a lot of protests about Palestine, and I was looking to how there's literally few protests about Iranians, and so this is something. If you wanted to go down and join one, I could be in Perth soon. I wouldn't mind going down and being a part of the one in Perth. If there's one in Perth, but it's the Australian people can't do a lot of those things you said, but we can. We still got a free internet to a degree. So you want us to share these great, because a lot of the stuff coming out. Like
if you're asking what citizens can do, if that's the question, of course, sharing the suffering of the Iranian people, sharing the true voice of the Iranian people, whether we like it or not. Okay, the Iranians have chanted "Long live the Shah." whether someone in the West thinks that's good or bad, that is the voice of the Iranian people. And if they want to help us, they need to reflect that accurately. So yeah, attending protests, being the voice of the Iranian people who do not have internet in a digital blackout, those are all very useful things that the citizens of Australia can do. And also what they can do is that they can pressure their government. They can write to their MPs and say, hey, there's a genocide happening in Iran. These are the 6 demands. Do your part. You know, that's something as Australian citizens, we can all send an email to our MPs, to our senators, saying, look, what is happening in Iran is not okay. You know, Australia should stand in the right side of history. And that would be a big help, more than people, because a lot of people think, well, I'm just one person. What can I do? Well, it's these one person. When we all become united, we become a massive number, and we can force change if we want to.
And
can I? Sorry, go, Malika.
Sorry, Michael. If I just want to add to that one, I heard a nice analogy this morning. I was watching a video that I want to use here. And, you know, a lot of Australians or a lot of people that live in Australia, you know, might look at this and be like, oh, well, you know, they just have an embassy there, even if, you know, a couple of them are like, you know, bad people, so be it. But what they don't realize is that a lot of the terrorist actions that happen on Australian soil happened because the IRGC was behind it, because the Islamic regime was behind it. So even one life lost on Australian soil as a result of these terrorists having their organizations here, that should say a lot about what we need to do here in Australia. And, you know, the analogy was, you know, someone saying that, you know, once you are diagnosed with diabetes, you don't go and cut off the leg immediately, but slowly, if you don't treat this diabetes, you're going to start having problems to a point where you have to cut off that leg. And, you know, we don't want to see Australia getting to a point where, when you think about it right now, you know, the last maybe big massacre or the big terrorist act that happened in Australia was the Sydney Lindt Cafe. You know, when you look at it now, that's like 10 years or so ago. And then now you have the Bondi attack that happened. So while these are happening, you know, so spaced out, maybe every 10 to 15 years, people don't seem to look at it as a big deal, even though it is. You know, you are looking at 16 innocent lives lost on Australian soil as a result of ideologists, you know, extremists that wanted to portray their ideologies and try to, you know, take over the Western world. So when it's all spaced out, it doesn't look too much. But then if you don't treat these diabetes, these spaces are going to get shorter and shorter to a point where you're going to see terrorist attacks happening once a week here in Australia, and you've let it, you know, linger around too much. And now that you almost can't do anything about it, you can't control the population of these kind of people. So when we are right now saying that you need to, you know, take actions, like when we were calling for the Iranian embassy to be closed here, and when we were calling for the Iranian ambassador to be deported from Australia, this was during the Mahsa Amini. This was during way longer before the Iranian regime could commit these, you know, anti-Semitism acts that they did, and that resulted in the Iranian ambassador being deported. So as Iranians living under this oppression, as Iranians experiencing these kind of terrorism and oppression firsthand, when we see a sign, we know what's coming. So when we give you warning, when we chant in the streets, when we write to the parliament, when we write to all these members saying we need to take actions now before it's too late, don't just turn a blind eye and say, like we haven't seen anything yet. Well, we know, we're telling you firsthand, we flee from these same people that are not trying to open up, you know, organization in your country. So I just wanted to add there that to some people it might look like, oh, well, it hasn't affected me now, but as Iranians, we're saying that it's going to come affect you, and it's going to be a moment where that problem is going to knock on your door and you'll be forced to open it. So instead of, you know, saying I'm in my house, it's not going to affect me, that trouble is going to come and find you in your home. So make sure that you take actions now and listen to the voice of Iranian people.
I just want to show something beautiful that goes with that. 2 secs. So this was Iranians before the revolution. These are women. As you naturally can see. So that's how they were. And it was a very progressive. I mean, it was seen as an incredible country. It was really kicking goals on the world stage. And then this was a protest.
Demonstration was the nearest thing to an anti-Khomeini rally yet. The imposition of Islamic law here has started with an order to women to cover their heads in government offices. Many are furious, only a minority in Tehran already.
So we've seen that before, but that's the Iranian women protesting then. They used violence, intimidation to make it that way, that they got their way. But even right now, after all this time, it's got to the point now that these young women like this one here want to have the freedom to express themselves like you did with your yellow dress when you were a young girl. And so I know that's not the main problem, but there's all different sorts of problems going around, and it's like a perfect storm. But this is one of the problems here, which one of the reasons I reached out for now is that we're seeing these horrific deaths, and we're seeing some of the things you said about what happened to women last week, Malika, was just literally, we need therapy listening to it. And my question has been out there: where is the feminist movement? Where is it? Where are they? Why aren't they talking about this? Because this is their and the perfect thing is here. I saw this meme to bring it up. There it is. So this is it here, but this is a woman actually fighting the real fight for freedom, where here at the moment, the feminist movement seems to have gotten behind. This is giving me a lot of trouble. Seems to have gotten behind men who want to be women, their right to be seen as women. So the feminist movement of the world seems to be protecting or defending or pushing men's rights to be women if they want to be women, and ignoring the plight of women in Iran who are going through this now. And that was my first thing going through. But what I've seen since, and this is why I'm glad Sapphire is here, is the beautiful men. And I mean that, I don't mean that in a way like a gay way, but just here's a wrestler coming up now. Where is he? Here he is here. I think he's waiting execution. You've got this is your future that you're slaughtering. This is your future with all their dreams, all their passion. It shows you that the state is wrong. Once the state starts slaughtering its own children because they won't obey, surely for most people around the world, that would say, well, the state is a failed state. This is a lost cause. So you can't have a state, and maybe I'm just naive, slaughtering its own beautiful people, men and women like this. It's been profoundly moving this week, just looking at the images and finding all these Iranians like yourself around the world just flooding Twitter and trying to get traction with images and art and videos. And so, can
I just add something? Sorry, Malika.
Sure.
There was someone on Twitter, and I wish I took a screenshot. If I can, I will find a way to send it to you, and you can display it for your audience. But it was this Western woman, a feminist, saying that the leftists, the feminists, and the pro-Palestine supporters should get real with themselves, because if Iran is free, everything that we are fighting for will no longer be achievable because we'll lose our funding. She was extremely honest. She was extremely honest.
Do you have that video?
It's on Twitter. I can find it. It was a tweet that she put out because, as you said, the feminists are too worried about what's happening in Palestine. Then they are worried about a 16-year-old getting raped and killed in Iran. And, you know, how I said, you know, certain things don't fit within their agenda. The fight of the Iranian people, not only does it not fit in their agenda, it's actually a threat to their agenda. Because if the Islamic Republic falls, and it will fall pretty soon, there will be no funding for Hamas. There will be no funding for Hezbollah, no funding for the Houthis. All right. Every single terrorist organization in the region, which is advancing the delusional, you know, what in Persian we call Arman Palestine, or like the Palestinian dream that they have, all the lefties, feminists included, all of that will die. So of course they're not going to support it. Why should they? It's actually logical for them not to support it because it's a threat to their agenda. So it was really interesting. I will try and find it and I'll send it to you via email. a screenshot of the tweet. Yeah, but she was extremely honest and said the quiet part out loud. You know, if the Islamic Republic falls and Iran becomes free, everything that we are fighting for, our leftist, ideologies, all of that will just disappear because we'll lose our funding.
I have heard that too, actually. I have heard of this. If Iran falls, if there's a revolution there, then there's a lot of things that are going to change for the better in the world. Did you have something you wanted to say, Malika?
Yeah, and what I completely agree with what Sepper is saying, and also there's also this fact that I guess a lot of these feminine movements, when you think about, the ideology that's behind it, as Sepper said, but then some of them also choose their comfort over the consistency and going after what the real problem is. When they just don't want to be confronting the real the feminist issue that's going on in Iran, because they would be labeled as Islamophobic. They would be, going against what the Palestinians are believing, So it's, again, coming back to them choosing the comfort and, the easy way out of this, other than trying to really confront what the real issue is. And when you really think about it, I just want to go back to something called Maslow's hierarchy of need. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like a psychological thing. It's basically a triangle it's basically a hierarchy of needs. So at the very top, it's got self-esteem. So once you fulfill all these steps, at the very top will be self-esteem and who you truly are. So, and then at the bottom, it's basic human needs: water, air, shelter, food. All these things are at the bottom. And then after that, it would probably be education, career. It would be family, like your loved ones. And then it will be education, career. And then, it will be your sense of security. And then it will be your self-esteem. So basically what Maslow is talking about is that to achieve your self-esteem, you have to have all of these to then be what you really want to be. So for all these feminists trying to fight for men wanting to be women, that's the top bit. That's that self-esteem that they're like, okay, now I know what I am, I know who I am, and I want to be a man, for example. What Iran and Iranian women are fighting for is that at the bottom of that hierarchy of need. They want their, freedom. They want to be able to afford water and air and shelter and food and be able to have jobs and have that sense of security. So the two fights that you see here, we are asking all these feminists to maybe take a look at Iran and what Iran, and not just Iran, people living in Afghanistan and Pakistan, all these women living under these oppressive
especially regimes. Afghanistan. I mean, they've just stopped them going to school. Women can't, it's ridiculous. It's like going back to the Stone Age.
When you look at it, it's, women, not just women, but I'm just going to talk about women just, in specific. When you look at how women are oppressed in Iran under this, ideology is, some basic examples could be women are excluded from certain university subjects. Even to this day, they're not allowed to study certain university subjects. And that goes in terms of like criminology and justice and law. You will never, ever see a woman working as a judge in a court system, because they don't believe that women are capable of making right decisions. So this is all belittling women by saying, no, you're not capable of becoming a judge because as a woman, you're not capable to think straight. Another one would be, according to the government, when, under this regime, women are not allowed to exit the country without the men's approval. So if you want to exit the country, you have to have your husband's or your father's approval if you're not married. And another one would be that if a woman is sexually assaulted in Iran, then she needs to present 4 witnesses before her testimony is accepted. So you have to gather 4 witnesses to prove that you were sexually assaulted.
And if you can't, you're going to get lashed because they'll accuse you of accusing another man of sex.
And, this was the story of someone called Atefe Sahale, I think the surname was. She was only 16 years old when she was publicly executed because she spoke up about an ex-IRGC member that repeatedly for 3 years sexually assaulted her. So they didn't like the idea that, a news came out about one of their members committing such sins, and they publicly executed her because she couldn't prove that it was right. And then you have women that their testimonies are worth only half a man. So you will need 2 women to equal one man's testimony. You know, it's just all this ideology is all built on oppressing women, and, you know, not like women are not allowed to sing. Like that Nika Shakarami, when she was singing, that's a statement to show that I'm
so that 16-year-old is not allowed to sing.
Well, women are not allowed to sing in Iran. You're not allowed to sing in the street. There's also another video of a woman singing when they're basking in the street, and you can hear this, like the sirens of the police that's going to come after her, and you can see her just quickly doing this, that, oh my God, they're about to capture me now, and everyone tries to run away. So women are not allowed to sing. They're not allowed to ride bikes. They're not allowed to ride motorbikes. They're not allowed to exercise in public. So when you look at all these, you know, the ways that women are living under this regime, how is this not a part of this feminist movement? You know, this is the definition of feminist is equal, you know, opportunity in terms of society, in terms of, you know, your place in society, and how your opportunities that you have, they should be all equal between men and women. But none of this, you don't see any of this feminists really speaking out about Iran, because it's at you know, the problem is at the core of countries like Iran with their oppressive.
I've been attacked by feminists for doing the show.
Oh.
Telling me, oh, it's a man's problem. Men should fix it. I'm thinking, well, that's.
You know, Michael, if I can just say something, you know, the Islamic Republic is ISIS, basically. It's the Taliban. It's no different. It's arguably is actually more violent than ISIS and the Taliban. They've killed 43,000 people in 2 nights, and the world. The better part of the world is just pretending nothing has happened. You know,
that's correct.
They're pretending everything is fine. Let's negotiate with them. Let's try to understand them. You know, maybe they think differently. You know, the feminists are saying, no, actually, women have a lot of rights in Iran. You know, it's actually so good. Everything is okay. You know, this is us just ignoring it and kicking the can down the road. You know, why is the Western world waiting for America? You know. Penny Wong can right now come, and as I said, you know, the Australian government can close down the embassy, you know, say the Islamic Republic is an illegitimate regime, is not the government of Iran, and recognize a transitional government. Why aren't they doing it? Isn't 43,000 people enough? What's that number that they need to kill? Is it 50? Is it 80,000? Is it 100,000?
I would suggest that it wouldn't be any amount of money, because Labor is desperate to stay in power, and they want the votes, and so
and that's the problem.
I think it's reaching morally to these people. We're just. I think it's the people themselves that can start this pressure from above. So if you're a woman, I'm going to go out by playing the 16-year-old when we go. So because this girl just wanted to express herself, she just wanted to sing, and she was raped and murdered for it and dumped in the desert. And when they found her, and this was the one you said. Or I'll say it before we play it for those who come in now. Yeah, it's I'm a little bit sick, so I'm probably going to call it a bit short now. Is there anything else you'd like to say, guys?
I just wanted to, if it's okay, it's a very short video I've just uploaded. If you don't mind just showing that one quickly as well. It's just showing the brutality. I'll just stop it there. So basically, you could hear the guns getting fired that many times in the dark. So this was obviously, you know, a targeted kill to kill as many people as possible. And another video I'm not going to show now, but what they scream is that they go, oh my God, these are real bullets. So this is the shock that people, because back then, you know, you would hear that 1 or 2 people may have been killed by real guns, but then to open fire like this on everyone this time around, everyone would thought it would be another pellet gun. It would be another, you know, one that won't kill them. It will hurt them, but won't kill them. But a lot of, you know, these videos that are coming out, you hear people go, oh my God, this is like real bullets they're firing at us. And, you know, it's just, I just want to show that video, and you could hear how quickly they were just shooting into the street, shooting into the dark, and basically trying to kill as many people as possible. So you could hear just in that, a minute and a half, how many times they shot at people in just that 1 minute and a half.
And you're saying they brought in Iraqis to do that? Because I did speak to my Iraqi friend, and she said that's what they do. She was quite open about it. That was, she said, yeah, that's what they do. This is well known because they bring.
And let's just make this clear. This was no accident. This wasn't just, a few isolated events. This was ordered by Ali Khamenei, the terrorist leader of the Islamic Republic. He ordered, go and kill as many people as you can, send them home. That was his order. And the Iraqi thugs that they imported into the country from Hashd Shabi or whatever, the IRGC, the Faraja, the SWAT units of the Islamic Republic police, they all carried out a genocide that was ordered and planned. It wasn't like one, local commander decided, all right, let's open fire. This was planned, premeditated, and, ordered at the highest level of the Islamic Republic.
So it's almost like a Tiananmen Square thing, really.
Exactly.
Let's absolutely brutalize the people and get them to...
And the saddest part of here is that where is the army? Isn't the army supposed to be with the people? Where is the Iranian army? Where are they? You haven't seen a single person from the army trying to defend the nation that they swore for, and it really just shows that the question that you asked, that yes, as Iranians, we feel very lonely, that we feel like we are the only ones fighting this fight for the entire Middle East. And that, the army that's supposed to be behind people has even backed out and they're with the government. So it's just very unfortunate, but we are going to win this fight. For whoever's watching, we are going to win this fight. However long it's going to take us, we are never going to bow down to an oppressive regime. And we are going to, because deep down we are the child of, Cyrus the Great, and we will be fighters, and we will, even if you bury us, we will start from you. We'll start from fresh, and we will never bow down to this oppressive regime.
Can I tell you both? I think I told you last time, Malika, when I was interviewing a lot of Romanians, they never thought Ceausescu would fall. But when they started just killing everybody, it came a point after a couple of days where the soldiers and the police couldn't do it anymore. And they turned the guns around on their leaders. And that's what brought the regime down. I'm not saying that will happen here, but it's what this woman said to me was they remembered their humanity. They remembered that they were human beings, and they were shooting their brothers and their sisters, their children, their mothers, their fathers.
It probably won't happen in Iran, as it's Iraq.
Hopefully that it won't, but at some point now, it's the people want freedom no matter what. So, and they can't kill all of them. So. Yeah, but at the same time too, you say numbers, 43,000 people can get lost in statistics, and it doesn't resonate. So I think we'll go out with the young woman that you spoke about. I might even just, and this is Nina. What's her name?
Nika Shakar.
Nika Shakar. So all she wanted to do, she burned her hijab. And she wanted to sing an old Iranian love song. And here you can see her celebrating and enjoying just being free. And in that brief moment of freedom, not only did they arrest her and kill her, but they threw her off a building, apparently you're claiming. They threw her off a building when she was broken because they knew she was a virgin, and they don't want virgins go to heaven. They actually raped her to make sure that she wouldn't go to heaven, then dumped her body out in the desert somewhere, and when a family found her, she was so what's the word? Anyway, they can only identify her by her birthmark. So this from tonight. If there's nothing else that either of you want to say, or just have your last words now, we'll go out with this and let her voice be the voice of Iran. Sefa, is there anything you'd like to say, Sefa, before we go?
No, I just wanted to thank you again for the opportunity
no
for us to be able to come out here and speak. Yeah, and thank you to all the audience for sticking around. It's an hour and 40 minutes. I know it's not easy sitting down and listening to people talk. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Michael.
No problem at all.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, everyone. Yeah, it's tremendous to be able to get these words out without any censorship and actually getting people to hear about what's really going on in Iran. So thank you so much. And
I just want to say something to all Australians listening. I learned this the other day when I interviewed a woman in Penang. And in the first gold rush in WA, loads of people went into the bush around Kalgoorlie, all that area, looking for gold, and they started dying of thirst because there's no water out there. So the government at the time turned to the Afghan Cavaliers, I think, or they've got a word for it, I can't remember it. Anyway, huge camel trains went out with water and supplies, and loads of new Australians then who were dying were saved by these Afghans. When they came back and they'd finished their job, the government asked the leader, what do we owe you? And he said, these nothing, because these people are children of God, and it is our duty to save them. And I'm thinking now, if the very most you can share this, or share some of the videos, or get on Twitter, put in Iran, stop the executions. You can look up that hashtag, or just put in Iran and start sharing the voices of these beautiful people who just want to be free. And in a world where freedom's under attack, that's what at least is something you could do.
So sorry, there is also a petition going around, E99283. That's basically the petition that's from the Parliament of Australia, and that's to revoke the recognition of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Can you put that in the link in the private chat?
Yes, I will put that link up. So this is what the people can do to help us. It's basically a petition that's from the Australian government, and that's to revoke the recognition of the Islamic Republic of Iran. So by signing that one, we actually will have a voice in Parliament. So if you can spread this one around so that people are able to fill it out. You don't even have to be Iranian. As long as you live in Australia, you can fill this one in. So it's just basically your first and last name and an email. Once you do fill that email, you will get a notification back to your mailbox that says that it's you, and then when you click on that link, then that's a petition done. It maybe takes about a minute and a half, 2 minutes for it to really be achievable. So yeah, it's a tremendous help for us Iranians if they can fill that one out for us. And yeah, just this is a way they can be our voice.
Thank you. God bless you both. So I'm going to play this thing now. Take out and just put you in the background. Most of us are parents. I've got a daughter. Imagine that this was your daughter and she just wanted to sing and she just wanted to be herself, and she was brutally murdered because of it. So she was not allowed to sing, and she decided she wanted to sing an old love song, and this was her moment of freedom. So here we go. Yeah, I find that profoundly moving. there is some controversy about the song I'm going to play to go out, but the singer was arrested. I will play it anyway. Singer was arrested for this, but they did let him go. Now apparently the regime's behind him. Maybe they're doing it because they realize he's too important to kill. He might actually start another revolution by himself if they kill him. So I'm going out with that. Next to it is some images of Iranians, women and young men who are basically waiting execution, and the execution is very quick. And so anyway, there's I'm just going to play this now. I don't know what else to say. I'm just an old man in a bus, but this will speak for itself. But I do urge you, get onto Twitter, get onto Instagram. You've got nothing to do. Start sharing the plight and the voices and the faces of these people, and let's see if we can create some change. Good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
Shortly after the song's debut. The lyrics to Shervin Hajipour's Baraye are composed of tweets from Iranians who have been protesting in the streets for weeks since the death of Mahsa Amini after she was arrested by the country's morality police. As the song's lyrics suggest, the primarily women-led protests have become about far more than just a single.
Oh, and also sign the petition. It's in the notes. Sign the petition. That's from Malika. It's an order.
Injustice. The movement is about azadi, which means freedom in Persian. Demonstrations have continued despite the government saying it's investigating Amini's death. Iranian state TV said last week 41 people have died in the protests. Human rights groups estimate it's far more. Shervin Hajipour was released on Tuesday according to Iranian state media. And while the emotional weight of his song's lyrics can get lost in translation, the haunting melody speaks for itself as the song continues to captivate the world.
برای توی کوچه رقصیدن، برای ترسیدن به وقت بوسیدن، برای خواهرم، خواهرت، خواهرامون، برای تغییر مغزها که پوسیدن، برای شرمندگی، برای بیپولی، برای حسرت یک زندگی معمولی، برای کودک زباله‌گرد و آرزوهاش، برای این اقتصاد دستوری، برای این هوای آلوده، برای ولیعصر و درختای فرسوده، برای پیروز و احتمال انقراضش، برای سگهای بیگناه ممنوعه، برای گریه های بیوقفه، برای تصویر تکرار این لحظه، برای چهره ای که میخنده، برای دانش آموزا، برای آینده، برای این بهشت اجباری، برای نخبه های زندانی، برای کودکان افغانی، برای این همه برای غیر تکراری، برای این همه شعارهای تو خالی، برای آوار خونه های پوشالی، برای احساس آرامش، برای خورشید پس از شبای طولانی، برای قرصای اعصاب و بیخوابی، برای مرد میهن آبادی، برای دختری که آرزو داشت پسر بود، برای زن زندگی آزادی، برای آزادی.